for the past, since the 1970s, we've basically been using the same CPU architecture, the same type of devices driving our computing capabilities for humanity. Whether it had a little bit of a change recently with fixed to ARM architecture, but the big thing that's kind of on a lot of people's minds, and this has even come up in family discussions recently with me, is what's being lovingly referred to as Q Day, which is quantum day, for those who don't know. So the idea that a quantum computer will eventually get to the point where basically none of the current day encryptions that we're using are going to be useful. They'll be susceptible to basically decryption without password, decryption without any kind of key. And this will affect all current modern day employed encryption algorithms. Now, neither Frank and I are mathematicians. We have both taken courses in cryptography and understand the kind of basic underlyings of how those things work. Obviously, everybody's freaked out. I think there's a part of this that's alarmist. Maybe going a little too heavy into, oh my God, we got to do this immediately. We need to change things immediately. To quantum's not going to be around for the next 50 years, which is another thing that's kind of out there. What do you think, Frank?
Okay. I've got a couple different thoughts on this one. And let's start with the last question you had. Is quantum going to be around soon? And I think the answer is, again, it depends on your perspective, but it's going to take a lot of work to get quantum here. Quantum, I think, is an example of a technology that we know we can do, we know exists, but is so resource and power intensive that practical application, even in the business world, and even at the state and federal levels, right? We'll even say a state actor levels, is going to take, in my opinion, and again, this is just the opinion of one dude, it's going to take at a minimum 10 to 15 plus years for one big key reason. In order to perform quantum computing appropriately and effectively, and I'm not talking about the simulating quantum that we keep hearing about. I feel like that's a lot of marketing and buzz, right? You need incredibly cold conditions. And I'm not just saying negative 50 degrees Fahrenheit or Celsius. We're talking about near absolute zero, like Kelvin, right? Mm-hmm. We're talking about as cold as space. And to make things that cold requires on Earth, right? So we're going to get a little Elon Musky here. It's like, oh, of course, if you're in space, it's going to be a lot easier to make quantum computing.
If we do space computing, we'll be...
Right. But for here on Earth, it is going to require some really dramatic advances in thermodynamics. We're going to have to either figure out how to come up with enough power to make extreme cooling easier, right, and more practical, or we're going to have to figure out a way to perform quantum computing, actual quantum computing, without it being that cold. I think we will eventually get there because I'm an optimist.